Suspension from school. Students, if you are suspended from school, that does not just mean during the learning hours. If you are suspended from any extracurricular activity here on campus. You cannot come to practices of any kind for sports or bands. You cannot attend any kind of ball games or choir concerts or anything, not just as a participant, but you cannot come to view those at all. If you're expelled or suspended from school, then you will not be able to be here at school for any reason. Um, I cannot suspend you for a period longer than 10 days. If the policy requires to do more than 10 days, then that will be coming from the school board with a expulsion hearing. Um, so again, students, please understand that there is things that you must follow while you're here on campus, and if you cannot do that, and you create an environment that is not productive or safe for other students or yourself, then out of school suspensions are an option. Out of school suspensions will be treated as unexcused absences. Now, you will not be able to make up any of the work. You will be given zeros. However, the out of school suspension will not be a reason that you fail a class. So those out of school suspension days, they do not count necessarily toward the 5 unexcused days when it would come to determine if you pass or fail a credit. Here it talks about expulsions and how that process will be handled. Search, seizures, and interrogations. All right, students, understand that Officer Talbert and myself and Mr. Graham, we do have the ability that if we hear of something that has the likelihood of being the truth, if we get a tip on anything, on illegal items here at school, in your vehicles, in your lockers, in your pockets, in your purses, in your backpacks, we do have the availability to search and seize those materials. Hopefully, whatever is being claimed that you have is not the truth. And if that's the case, everything's going to be fine and you'll be sent back to class. Anything that is found that appears to be in violation of the law shall be reported to the appropriate authority. School property shall include, but not limited to, lockers, desks, parking lots, as well as personal effects left there by students. Students, we will not go searching through this necessarily without you present. When possible, prior notice will be given, and the student will be allowed to be present along with an adult witness. However, searches may be done at any time or without notice of a student's consent. So if we hear of specifically things that would be considered dangerous, we do have the authority to search without your knowledge, but we will make every effort to have you involved and get your side of the story before we proceed. All right, motor vehicles, students who drive here on campus, your vehicles, please understand that the speed limit here on school property is 15 miles an hour. In order to park here on campus, you must have a driver's license, have proof of insurance, and then you have to pay a $10 yearly parking fee. If you do not have a parking permit, then you will not be allowed to park here. We'll have a little bit of a grace period here to start the year, but as soon as we set that final day, if you do not have your parking credentials, then you will be told that you're not allowed to drive here to school. So please take care of that as quick as possible. And Officer Talbert will give more information on that. Again, it's understood that there is no expectation of privacy in vehicles and parking areas. Drivers of vehicles parked on a school campus will be held accountable for illegal substances or any other item prohibited by the district policy found in their vehicle. The act of a student parking a vehicle on campus is a grant of permission for school or law enforcement authorities to search that vehicle. Parking on school property is a privilege, and it may be denied to a student for disciplinary violation at the discretion of the building principal, assistant principal, or their designee. Now, another thing, and we'll talk more on tardies here shortly, but students, if you are absent or tardy 6 times in your first block class, your first block classes, 6 tardies, doesn't matter if it's A day, B day. Once you hit that threshold, then you can lose your privilege to park here and drive here to campus for up to the remainder of the year. So you need to get up and get out of bed a little bit earlier, get yourself to school. Otherwise, you're going to be catching the big yellow bus, or you're going to be having your parents drive you because you've shown that you cannot be responsible enough to get yourself here. So please understand this policy will be enforced. You cannot drive your vehicle off of school campus without special permission. There are times where our students who go to VOTEC, we arrange it to where they can drive. There are times just in general where there's permission given by myself or Mr. Graham or Officer Talbert for you to drive off campus. But this is something that must be prearranged. So make sure you do that. If you do not follow these procedures, you will not be allowed to park here. Students, you're going to be dropped off there in front of the gym, just like last year. When your parents come through, drop you at the double doors there in front of the gym, come on in. You can go in the gym, you can go in the cafeteria, you can go to the library if it's open. But this also lists the middle schools and the elementary drop off, but that's what you need to know for the high school. Student medications. Prior to the administration of any medication, including any dietary supplement or other perceived health remedy not regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. You can see that was added this year. There must be written parental consent for you to use. The big thing about the medication here at school is you cannot carry it on your persons. Any kind of medication, over the counter, prescription, must be arranged and dropped off by your parent, not you. It must be brought by your parent and given to the nurse. And then the nurse will have that for you when you need it. She does have basic over-the-counter medications, Tylenol, ibuprofen, sinus medication, that type of stuff that she would have. You don't need to bring your own. Any kind of thing that may be found on you will be following the drug policy. So make sure that you do not carry things, and especially you do not give pills, whether they're over the counter or they're your prescription, to someone else, because that is against the law and that will be dealt with. So please make sure that this medication policy, any kind of medication, whether it's over the counter or prescription, is done through the nurse's office with Ms. Kirchable. Possession and use of cell phones and other electronic devices. Students, you know that our cell phone policy is if you're in the halls, you're in between classes, you're in the cafeteria, you can do all the texting and gaming and phone calls you want to. Once you enter the classroom, that is teacher regulated. And if a teacher says no cell phones in their class, that means you put them up and you do not get them out. They will give you the opportunity, if they so choose, to use your calculator on or use an app specifically for their class. If it's a learning type situation, they may allow you to use the phones. But once you are